It started quiet. No music, no noise, just the sound of my own thoughts, asking questions I didn't want to answer. You ever sit alone long enough to hear your own heartbeat? That kind of quiet has weight to it. It presses down until you can't hide from yourself anymore. The room was small, one lamp burning low, shadows stretching across the wall like old memories that never learned to leave. Outside, the city breathed distant horns, a faint hum of life. But inside, everything stood still. I remember thinking, maybe stillness isn't peace. Maybe it's the sound of truth trying to get through. I leaned back in that old chair. My hands rested heavy on my knees. For a moment, I thought I was just tired. But then something shifted. Not in the air in me. It was so slight, I almost missed it. Like the world had been holding its breath, waiting for mine to match it. My eyes lifted toward nothing. My mind stopped running. And in that silence, I felt something real, not outside me, not above me, but within. It wasn't a voice, not in the way you'd hear a voice. It was more like understanding without words, a whisper that didn't need to speak to be heard. And if I had to give it a shape, I'd say it felt like a truth I'd been avoiding my whole life, finally catching up to me. I used to think revelation came with lightning or a sign or some grand message written across the sky. But that night, it came quiet. No thunder, no fire, just a whisper soft enough to miss if I wasn't still. I could almost hear it saying, "You've been living loud, but hearing nothing." And I remember thinking, yeah, that's true. All the years of talking, moving, building, I thought I was living. But maybe I was just making noise. The silence wasn't empty anymore. It was full, full of something I didn't understand yet, but I knew it was real. My breath slowed, my shoulders dropped. It felt like peace, but it wasn't gentle. It carried weight, the kind of weight that changes you, even if you don't know how yet. I didn't know what it was, only that it wasn't leaving. And somehow, I knew this was the beginning of something real. I didn't hear words that night, but I understood them clear as day. And that's when I realized some truths don't need to be spoken to be heard. For a while, I just sat there. Didn't move, didn't blink, just sat. You ever get so quiet, you start hearing the truth hum underneath it all? It's not loud. It's not even words at first. It's more like the sound of yourself asking questions you've been dodging for years. That's where I was. The air around me felt thick, heavy, with something I couldn't name. I wasn't scared, just uneasy, like the world had stopped moving, waiting on me to catch up. Then something surfaced. Not a sound, not a voice, just a feeling so clear it might as well have spoken. "You've been quiet for too long." It hit me like a cold hand on the shoulder. Before I could react, another thought followed. "You forgot why you were given a voice." I froze. I didn't know if it came from above, inside, or somewhere in between, but I knew it was true. Every word landed like it had been waiting years to be heard. And the worst part, it didn't sound foreign. It sounded like me, like the part of me I'd buried under pride, comfort, and excuses. I tried to shake it off. "Man, you're tired, you're hearing things, you're losing it," but I couldn't unhear it. The words stuck like splinters under the skin. Then came the memories, moments I thought I'd forgotten, times I stayed silent when I should have spoken up, when I let things slide because it was easier to say nothing. I saw faces, heard voices, all echoing the same thing. "You could have said something." "You didn't." I clenched my fists without realizing it. All these years, I thought silence kept the peace. Turns out it just kept me small. That line slipped out before I even knew I was saying it. And once I did, something inside me cracked. A mix of shame and relief rushed through like air after holding your breath too long. I tried to fight it again. It's nothing, I whispered. Just your mind playing tricks. But deep down, I knew better. The truth doesn't fade just because you want it to. It waits, patient, quiet, until you stop running from it. I looked around the room like maybe it would disappear. The lamp still glowed low, the same as before. But nothing looked the same anymore. The air had weight. The silence had meaning. I exhaled slow. My shoulders loosened. My jaw unclenched. The fight was over, and I'd lost, but in the best way. Maybe it wasn't something I was hearing. Maybe it was something I'd known all along. I leaned back, eyes closed, feeling it settle in my chest. It didn't hurt, it just fit. I've spent years talking, but never listening. That one hit hard. I felt it down to the bone. It wasn't guilt anymore. It was truth. And once you see truth like that, you can't unsee it. I sat there a while longer quiet, but not the same kind of quiet. This one had peace in it. Weight, but peace. And when I finally stood, I knew one thing for sure. If change was ever going to happen, it had to start here. Tomorrow wouldn't look the same. I woke up before the alarm that morning, didn't rush, didn't reach for the phone, just breathed. The light coming through the blinds had this warmth to it, not brighter, just cleaner somehow. The world outside hadn't changed, but something in me had. I sat there for a minute, letting the quiet do what noise never could. The sun came up like it always does, but that morning, it felt like the first time I'd really seen it. I could hear birds, the hum of a distant car, someone's dog barking down the street, all the little sounds I'd been too busy to notice. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel behind. Didn't feel like I was chasing anything, just still, present, awake. I stepped outside with a cup of coffee, same routine as every day, but the air hit different. There was a smell of rain, even though it hadn't rained. The neighbor waved at me, and for once, I didn't just nod, I smiled back. It wasn't force. It felt real. It's strange, nothing changed, and somehow, everything did. The same street, the same trees, the same world, but I wasn't looking at it through the same eyes. I could feel it, that quiet shift inside where things start making sense without explanation. As I went about my day, little moments caught me off guard. The grocery clerk, she looked tired, but still said, "Have a good one," like she meant it. The bus driver waited those extra 2 seconds for an old man crossing the street. And a kid, couldn't be older than 7, stopped to pick up his mom's dropped keys, no complaints, no sighs. I used to walk past people like they were part of the scenery. That morning, I saw them, really saw them. And something about that hit me deep, like I'd been asleep behind my own eyes. I found myself whispering thank you for things I never used to think twice about. The smell of coffee, the sound of laughter from a passing car, the fact that I was still here to notice any of it. You don't need miracles to change your life. Sometimes you just need to open your eyes. I stopped on the sidewalk, tilted my head up, and let the sun warm my face. Didn't care who saw. Didn't rush to be anywhere. Just stood there, grateful, grounded, awake. Later that day, I caught my reflection in a shop window. Same jacket, same tired eyes, same man. But it didn't look like someone waiting for life to happen anymore. For years, I chased things that made me look strong. That morning, I finally felt strong. Not the kind that needs to prove anything, just the kind that knows peace isn't weakness. It's power under control. As the day faded, I sat alone again. No voice this time, no message, just the sound of my own breath. Maybe change doesn't start when the world moves. Maybe it starts when you do. And once you see the world different, you can't unsee it. It started like any other morning. Coffee, a quiet walk to clear my head, sunlight on the glass storefronts, people rushing to work, horns echoing down the street. Nothing special, just noise and motion. I remember thinking I feel steady today. And the moment I thought it, life decided to check if I really meant it. There was this cafe I'd stopped by for years. Same spot, same faces. I'm standing in line, waiting for my turn, when this guy, mid 40 seconds maybe, storms past everyone, snaps at the barista, waving his phone, talking loud like the world owed him something. It wasn't personal, but man, it hit a nerve. I could feel that old instinct kick in, the one that wants to say, hey, back off. That heat under your chest when you know you're right, you want to prove it. For a second, I almost did. But something stopped me. I just looked at him, really looked. And instead of arrogance, I saw exhaustion. His eyes were tired, his shirt half untucked. He looked like a man losing a fight nobody else could see. And it hit me. That used to be me. Loud, certain, blind to the damage, trying so hard to be heard that I forgot how to listen. So I took a breath, a real one. Didn't clench my jaw, didn't roll my eyes. When the barista's hand shook, I said, "You're good. Take your time." The man turned toward me, ready for a fight that never came. All I said was, "You good, man?" Not sharp, not sarcastic, just human. He blinked. Didn't know what to do with that. The whole place got quiet for a second. Then it passed like tension, leaving a room that didn't want it anymore. No applause, no big moment, just silence. And then life went on. He got his drink, I got mine, we moved on. But as I stepped outside, I couldn't shake it. Funny how life tests you the minute you say you've changed. I walked slow, wind on my face, the smell of coffee still on my hands. And I realized peace isn't what you find in the quiet. It's what you choose when things get loud again. A few blocks later, the guy who'd been behind me came up. "Hey, man," he said, "you handled that real calm. How'd you do that?" I smiled, small, honest. I just stopped seeing people as enemies. That changes everything. He nodded, not because he fully understood, but because something in him felt it. And in that small exchange, I saw what change really was. Not fireworks, not headlines, just ripples. As I kept walking, I thought to myself, it's one thing to find peace in silence. It's another to keep it when the world gets loud again. The city, noise faded. My steps felt lighter. I didn't look back. Didn't need to. Because in that moment, I knew the lesson wasn't meant to be remembered. It was meant to be lived. Maybe it's time to stop keeping it to myself. It happened on an ordinary afternoon. Nothing big, no lights, no stage, just me sitting at a small café. A young guy I'd seen a few times before sat down across from me, looked tired. The kind of tired that's not about sleep, it's about carrying too much for too long. He sighed, rubbed his eyes, said, "Man, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I keep trying to get somewhere, but it never feels enough." I just listened. Didn't rush to fix him, didn't reach for advice. You learn that people don't always need your words sometimes. They just need your silence to rest in. After a while, I said quietly, I used to rush to fix people. Now I just listen. He looked up like nobody said that to him before. Then I added, you're not broken. You're just tired. He sat back, staring at his cup for a long time. No tears, no speeches, just stillness. The kind that says something finally landed. Then he asked, how do you stay so calm? Like, how do you not lose it? I smiled. It wasn't something I could dress up with wisdom. There was a night, I said, when I realized peace isn't something you find, it's something you become. He nodded, but didn't speak. That's how you know when a moment's real, when silence means understanding, not distance. We sat there for a while. Two men who didn't have it all figured out, but finally stopped pretending they did. Before he left, he said, thanks, man. And I told him, you don't owe me anything. Just be kind to yourself for once. He walked away, but something about his shoulders lighter somehow stayed in my mind. And I remember thinking, funny, I thought I was just talking, but maybe I was planting something. Later that day, I saw him again at the counter, helping the barista carry trays back to the kitchen. He smiled, told her, you're not broken, you're just tired. I froze for a second. That's when it hit me, the way truth moves. You give a little, and it starts to echo in places you'll never go. I leaned back in my chair and whispered to myself, it's strange you give a little truth and it starts to echo in ways you never expect. And for the first time, I didn't feel proud, I felt grateful. Grateful that what I learned in silence was finally speaking without me. I looked around the cafe, people talking, laughing, living, all of it ordinary, all of it sacred. Then I said, kindness doesn't need a stage, it just needs a chance. I took a sip of coffee, warm and steady. I spent years talking loud but saying nothing. Now I try to speak small but mean it. I stood up, feeling calm in a way that didn't need proof. Every step out that door, I kept thinking, every kind word is a seed. You never know what it'll grow into. Then I smiled, not for anyone else, just to myself, and thought, and maybe that's the only legacy that matters, what we leave in each other. The morning light came through the window the same way it always did. Same street outside, same old sound of the city waking up, but something in me had changed. I sat there for a while, no music, no phone, no rush, just me and the quiet. And for the first time, that quiet didn't feel empty. It felt alive. I remember whispering to myself, it's strange how life looks the same and still feels brand new. See, I used to think peace was something you had to chase, something you had to earn by fixing everything around you. But it's not that. Peace starts when you stop fighting what's inside you. I look back on it all, the silence that woke me, the message I didn't expect, the day I finally listened instead of talked. Every little moment that used to feel random, now it all makes sense. All it took was one quiet night. One night I stopped running and started listening. That's the thing nobody tells you. Life doesn't always change in thunder. Sometimes it shifts in whispers. And when you finally hear it, you start to see the world different. We all go through storms. You know the kind when nothing makes sense and you can't stand the sound of your own thoughts? But I've learned something. Sometimes the calm after isn't the world forgiving you, it's you forgiving yourself. That line came out of me one morning, and I've held on to it ever since. Because forgiveness, real forgiveness, doesn't start with others. It starts when you stop punishing yourself for being human. I used to think growth meant perfection. Now I know it just means awareness. I still stumble. I still get lost. But I walk different now, slower, clearer, with my eyes open. Peace isn't a trophy. It's practice. Every day you wake up and choose it again. There's one more thing I've learned. Kindness outlives everything. You may never see what your words or your care will grow into, but it doesn't matter. You plant it anyway. You give it anyway. Because somewhere, someone's going to need it more than you ever know. That's the kind of legacy I want to leave. Not money, not fame, not noise. Just proof that I tried to make things better while I was here. So I say this to anyone listening. The world will test your peace. People will misunderstand your calm. But if you hold on to grace, if you live from love, not pride, you'll be all right. Or pause, and me, I will live by that truth for the rest of my life. Soft exhale. Maybe that's what legacy really means. Not what you leave behind, but what you give while you're still here. If this story made you stop for a second, if it reminded you of something you felt but couldn't say, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's keep spreading stories that make people feel a little more human, because sometimes one quiet story can change a life.